Welcome to History with Master Squishies. In today's video, we'll be covering the history of the Tetrarch 1, we'll be going over who made it, the design, what nations used it, some of the battles it took place in, and how it performs in-game. To start off, the Tetrarch 1 was named the Light Tank Mark 7, the A-17, and nicknamed Perda. It was designed by Vickers Armstrongs and produced by Metro Camel to replace the Light Tank Mark 6C. The first design started in 1937 by Vickers Armstrongs as a private venture to sell to the British and other foreign militaries. The British War Office examined the Tetrarch 1 as a potential light cruiser, but was deemed unacceptable, and the null-fueled A-13 took the role of light tank cruiser. After further examination, the Tetrarch 1 would get the role of light airborne tank and be the first light airborne tank in the British military. In 1938, the Tetrarch 1 was accepted into the British light tank program with limited production. In 1940, the production started with 70 units. After a 3-day conference, it was up to 120 units. Then the number further increased to 220 units after Metro Camel started producing the tanks. After war broke out and the fall of France, the Tetrarch 1 was delayed, with further delays occurring from the British re-evaluating the use of light tanks and Luftwaffe bombing raids, with the final production number reaching around 100 tanks. The Tetrarch 1 was equipped with a single turret, mounted with a 40mm quick-firing 2-pounder gun, and a secondary 7.92mm Beza machine gun. It had a maximum of 16mm of armor, and a minimum of 4mm of armor. It had a crew of 3, a weight of 8.4 tons, a length of 4.11 meters or 13.6 feet, a width of 2.31 meters or 7.7 feet, a height of 2.12 meters or 6.11 feet, and a maximum speed of 40 miles per hour on-road and 28 miles per hour off-road. Next, we'll move on to its operational history. The Tetrarch 1 was used by Britain and Russia. Russia received about 20 Tetrarchs in the Lend-Lease program, and they found use within Operation Barbarossa. In British use, the Tetrarch 1 was deployed in Operation Ironclad and Operation Tonga. During Operation Ironclad against Vichy, France, only 6 Tetrarchs were deployed, but during deployment, a Tetrarch got stuck in the sand at the landing zone for several hours, which caused a delay in deployment. The infantry advanced without the armor, but would eventually get support from 2 Valentines and 1 Tetrarch. The tanks attempted to breach pillboxes near Anamakia, but the rocky terrain made it difficult to maneuver. The tanks attempted to clear the line, but were unable to, leaving the infantry to clear it later in the day. The tanks were ordered to outflank the French and were joined by 2 more Tetrarchs, but upon engaging the French, 2 of the Valentines moving forwards were knocked out by a 75mm artillery gun, with 2 Tetrarchs meeting the same fate. The last Tetrarch retreated to report back on the resistance they had encountered. After the report, the Tetrarch was given command of 4 Valentines and 2 more Tetrarchs. Their goal was to outflank the French from a different direction, hoping to get around the artillery. Unfortunately, the artillery could still face the coming assault, leading to 1 Valentine and 1 Tetrarch to be hit and destroyed, and after exchanging some volleys, the tanks retreated to their original positions. The line was broken by the 29th Brigade and Royal Marines, while the tanks stayed on defense, and while defending, the tanks came under artillery fire, which knocked out another Valentine. Operation Ironclad consisted of 6 Valentines and 6 Tetrarchs. By the end of the battle, only 1 Valentine and 3 Tetrarchs remained. In Operation Tonga, the 6th Airborne Armored Reconnaissance Regiment used 20 Tetrarchs, which played a vital role in reconnaissance due to their speed. Before the 20 Tetrarchs could land, one was destroyed when its shackles broke loose and it crashed through the nose of its glider mid-flight, causing both tank and glider to crash into the sea. Then, 2 gliders crashed into each other while at the landing zone, destroying both gliders and tanks. And finally, a 3rd Tetrarch was rendered useless when a glider collided into it while it was being unloaded, flipping the tank upside down. The remaining surviving tanks were temporarily immobile when parachute lines got caught into the suspension. Once they were untangled, they moved south to perform recon, and by June 7th, 2 Tetrarchs were lost, 1 to a mine and 1 to a German self-propelled gun. By August, the majority of Tetrarchs were replaced by Cromwell tanks, and by late 1940s they were taken out of the frontline service, and by 1946 it was considered obsolete. Finally, we'll move on to how it performs in War Thunder versus how it performs in real life. In War Thunder, the Tetrarch is pretty well done, but the minimum armor is off with it being 10mm instead of 4mm like its real life counterpart. The speed is also off with it reaching 41 miles per hour instead of 40 miles per hour. The gun is right with it being a 40mm quick firing gun, and the secondary is also right with it being a 7.92mm Beza machine gun. All in all, the Tetrarch is pretty well done, but the armor should be changed to 4mm in realistic battles if Gaijin wants to be as close as they can to the real thing. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, squish that like button, subscribe, and let me know what you want to hear about next. I'll see you in the next one.